and we are back. The final hour of the Awake Nation. Heather Day joins us again. Heather J as opposed to Heather A. From HeatherDayMusic.com. I'm sorry, I was back there dancing. Okay,
I could actually hear you humming.
did you? I was like, yeah, this is the spaz that you all have come to know and love. And Karen Britt, East Coast Hub, the Elastic Army Band.com. Catherine Sorlos, did I say it right?
Yes.
Yippee! I've been saying Catherine Torrigo. She's like, that's
Yeah.
not how you say my name.
No.
Oracle Whispers and Terra Creek Sacred Valley Podcast. Love all of you. So Heather, I'm going to say, how are you doing in the past like 2 hours or 3 hours?
Great. Doing great. That was a great segment. I really appreciate it. I think we're going to help heal some people and validate some people. So thanks.
So for those of you that don't know, Heather Day's on every other Friday, but we're going to work on maybe doing it every Friday with a trauma triage team, individuals trained in assessing and who have actually been traumatically, traumatized. So they're varying stratospheres in society. Most of them have a medical background, which I don't. So I sit there and just go, wow. And backgrounds in either being survivors of traumatic incidences. And eventually we will probably be building on another team. And then eventually we'll be taking calls at the end of the hour. Cam Britt, how are you?
Doing great. Glad to be here with the ladies in the house on a Friday.
Yes, on a Friday.
On a
Ladies
Friday.
what is that song? Ladies in the be back real soon. Do you know?
Okay, you lost.
Meeting in the
You lost me
ladies'
there.
room. Be
I don't know, but
back
I was ready
real
to jam.
soon.
You're going back to 80s.
I'm old, okay? Catherine Sorlos, how are you doing this
I'm
Friday?
good.
It's evening there, right?
It is. It's actually 8 o'clock at night.
8 o'clock at night. Yeah, she's a trooper. And can you tell everyone where you are?
I'm in Greece, Athens.
Okay, I didn't mean like say exactly where you are because
No, it's okay.
And
I'm
all
in
the
Athens, Greece.
target assassins will they'll go, all right, we know where she is, right, Karen?
But if I do see the man in black, I'll tell you.
Right, they're standing outside, and you know that they're listening with the little cup to
Yeah.
the thing.
For
Tara
sure.
Crete, my most famous, fabulous, beautiful friend, Sacred Valley Podcast. She's like, what?
No, maybe in your mind I am. Yeah, Catherine, please don't give us your coordinates. And I love your country. I think I've said it before, but I think about Greece constantly. I went in 19.
Aren't you Greek?
You know what? Funnily enough, my dad was like, that commercial where they do the DNA test and the guy thinks he's German, and in the end he's wearing a kilt because he finds out he's actually Scottish. My dad, all of our lives have told us that we were like French Canadian because that's where his mom immigrated from. And he got this DNA test, and we actually found out we're Greek and Italian, and he almost had a heart attack.
Right.
Yeah, well, the name Crete is Greek because it's Crete.
Yes,
exactly.
Which is Crete, our island Crete, and it's beautiful, guys. Crete is
Like,
I
gorgeous.
know, I've heard.
now you have to start eating
Beautiful.
feta cheese.
Well, it was funny. I have a very dear friend who's Greek, and when I told her, she was because you Greeks are very proud. She
Yes.
was yelling and whooping it up, and she said, "Oh my God, I'm going to come over and I'm going to teach you some Greek. We're going to drink ouzo and eat some baklava."
That's it. Uzo and baklava.
Yes, as a matter of fact, my first husband, the whole family was Greek because the last name was Zenos. I thought Penny Zenos sounded a little ethnic because I'm American, but then I find out I'm not actually. Maybe I'm actually really German because I found out my lineage is not. My parents were not who I thought they were. I'm going to bring in this individual who's extraordinary, who I love very much, and I call her my sister. She's my best friend, and people that look at us are like, within 5 minutes, they're like, "Are you two sisters?" And we're like, "Yes, kind of." So we call each other sisters because we do look alike, and we have the same, weirdo abilities. She has dreams that come true, which I believe we all have those dreams. We all have that capability, and just some of us recognize that we do have these dreams that come true, and we've come to understand our communications with God. That when He tells you something, you better listen up because your life could depend upon it. So I'm going to add my best friend and my sister, Susie Q. Susie Q, how are you?
Good. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Susie.
Now,
Everybody looks so fabulous today.
as you and Susie Q, you have a new show that you're doing called the Serial Killers Club, and you've researched some weirdo stuff, man. She's been having dreams, which again have been telling her the truth of this particular murder, which she was investigating, and everything keeps coming up with this person's name, like all over the freaking place. Even Karen Britt, in in the, you know what I'm talking about, even there. Okay, I'm not gonna say where. I'm just gonna say even there. Okay, this name keeps popping up all over the place. So I know you didn't want to talk about that specific case, but there's another one that kind of led you to, when you were talking to people about this one case that you're investigating, which you may or may not want to proffer some details, but there's another case that came up, which is even weirder. Would you like to preface it and tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. Oh my God. It's like sometimes I wonder why I have to go down these rabbit holes of this dark subject. But I mean, it's evil in its most evil, darkest place. I mean, somebody has to go there, I guess. And somebody has to.
Like serial killers, so.
Yeah. And it's like, why me, God? Why do I have this, obsession and direction to go looking in the darkest places to expose the darkness? But, it is what it is. And so, it's like, I just go, okay, and, so I keep, and the crazy part is that, I was, pretty much raised, I was raised not to talk about God, but I always had dreams from God. And then I started going to the churches for 30 years. And then I found out, then I had an experience where God told me, he was basically wanted me to just do away with everything I was taught and start all over, which I thought was like weird. But, I spent like 2.5 years every night talking to Jesus and him taking me places and showing me things. And, it is what it is. And so from all that, I have learned that basically, like the Christians use terminologies like the 9 spiritual gifts, because I'm very well versed in the biblical stuff. So the Christians use certain terminologies, but the people who aren't necessarily religious, they use the same terminologies, but they use different words. So basically they'll say psychic versus the gift of knowing, or the gift of knowledge, the gift of discernment, the gift of, so they call it gifts of God, but it's all the same thing. It's just everybody's using different words. And then they're like, and then the Bible thumpers are beating people over the heads with the Bible, because
I was one of those, Susie.
I
never beat anybody over the head, but I did walk throughout. And so did you. You read the Bible 7 times, and and when I was singing in the clubs and everything, I wouldn't thump them over the head with the Bible, and I didn't have at that point scripture memorized by heart, but it's written in my heart. But I always talk to people about Jesus.
Yeah,
wherever I went.
It's very confusing because it depends on how you were raised, what you were indoctrinated with, and it's like indoctrinated. You've been treated by the doctor to believe a certain way, and then you can't. And then if you were to accept another way, it would completely destroy your whole belief system, which would crush most people. Yes. So this is why people can't accept the truth. That's why it says you can't handle the truth, because literally people can't handle the truth. They literally can't. I mean, because they've based their whole belief system on what they were taught. And then if you come back and you tell them everything, maybe isn't the way you thought it was, then they have to go back to the very beginning of their foundation and destroy it, which is really hard for people because their faith is based on that, So, it's difficult to explain things to people. So a lot of times I try to use, it depends on who I'm talking to. I try to use certain words so that they can understand. You know,
Yes.
like if it's a very religious group, I understand the religious verbiage, you know, of understanding like what are the gifts, you know, and you know, people have dreams, people know things. You know, Penny knows. I can hear people's conversations. Like if it's relevant, like
Yeah.
to me, I
It's
can actually
weird.
hear people talking about me in detail. I can
like-
hear it.
I call
Yeah.
it microwave hearing because okay, just
Right.
a real quick story. So I'm at Satanic Starbucks, whatever, and using the Wi-Fi, and and Susan's like, stop going to Starbucks. And so I'm talking to this guy on my messenger, and he's saying that he knew me at freaking Langley, ladies. And I'm like, dude, no. If you knew me in Langley's, I was probably like in a cage somewhere. Okay. And he keeps saying he wants to talk to me. And I'm like, what do you want? What do you want? Then he's telling me he's going to fly off world and all this other crap. So I'm literally like getting pissed, and I'm texting, what do you want? Right. So then I get home, and Susie says, you know what? When I was in the house, I walked in, and she had this little prayer area set up with candles and stuff. And she says, I walked in, and I walked over past that, and I heard somebody say, what do you want? And she looks around, she said, it sounded like you, but I went down in the room and you weren't there. And she was like, and she heard it again. She's like, I'd like to win the lottery. And so I come home, and she says this to me, and I'm like, what? I said, what time did you hear that? I just go, I said, what time was that around? She says, like around 5:30. I'm like, I was texting that to this guy, screaming it in my head. What do you want? What do you want?
Yeah, I've had incidences where I will say to like someone, I feel like so and so is talking about me. They're saying this. I just know they're saying this, and then it'll get confirmed later. And even my therapist it's on Psychology Today. It's called psychic attack or psychological darts, and it's actually a
she
known
can actually
phenomenon.
hear conversations though, like full on conversations. When they came to her ranch, she's like, yeah, you were talking about this, and they were like, what? How did you know I was talking about that? She literally has like what you would call, in addition to the telepathic abilities, it's also called microwave hearing. It's weird. Okay, sorry. I just thought I'd throw that in there, Susie.
You know, but Penny, you know, I believe everybody has that gift. Everybody. You know, and people just aren't tapping into it, you know, for various reasons, you know, and you know, everybody has the ability to you know, have these gifts or have these, you know, I mean, for different reasons. I mean, you know, it's not a strange thing, but everybody kind of acts like it's strange or weird. But you know, you just have to like, you know, it's what you know. I sometimes, to people who aren't really religious, I hate to use the Bible, but for people who are religious, I can use it for different things because there are things that are relevant. But it does say that the kingdom of God is within. Okay. So, you know, you don't have to go to a church to find God, or you don't have to go anywhere to find God. You can find him right inside your head. I mean, that's where he is. You know, he put his light inside of everybody, and you don't have to go far to find him. So all those gifts are connected to God and to you. So, I mean, you just have to tap into it. That's it. You know, you just have to have a little bit of faith and believe in yourself and in the fact that God loves you, and that, you know, there's nothing that you can't accomplish in this world. You know, you just, you know, but I think religion puts too many conditions on everything, you know, and they're not just Christian religion. You have Muslim religion, you have all different religions, you know, and everybody has a little bit of the truth in all the religions, you know, and it's not necessarily that, you know, some are completely wrong, but it's just that, you know, everybody's kind of got sidetracked, you know, is my belief, you know, because it's pretty simple, but everybody makes it more complicated, I believe, you know. But everybody has the ability to have dreams. You know, you can communicate with God. You don't, you know, you don't gotta have to go to a priest and ask him, or a preacher to ask him anything. You know, you can get that from God directly. You don't, you know, and that's the thing about religion, is it tries to control with its rules and make you live under. It's you know, it's a form of mind control if you think about it. because you know what I mean? It is, So with all that being said, and well, I do have to touch on one other subject. Okay. Is the fact that the Mandela effect and, the convergence of timelines and all these things are creating all these problems. And with that in mind, we look at the Bible. Okay. The Bible is written by men. Okay. Now, the Christians say it's the inspired word of God, inspired by God, still written by men, but they say it's the infallible word of God. Well, and it never changes. That's not true. Okay. It does change because the Mandela effect has proved that. Isaiah 11:6 used to say the lion shall lay down with the lamb. Now that's no longer in any Bible. Okay. It is changed. Literally, people changed, gone, forever gone. Now it says the wolf will dwell with the lamb. So you can't say that book is unchangeable now, but see, that's going to shatter your whole belief system now, because you're going to say, wait, wasn't I trained and taught and indoctrinated to believe this? And now what do I believe? And so, a lot of people walk away from God or whatever because they think that by what they were taught, that by man, that if something challenges that belief, that they can lose that relationship with God. No, God, that doesn't have anything to do with God. That book is a book written with the pen of a man. Okay.
I love you, Susie.
They wrote that down. So, it's really simple. It's really simple. There's good and then there's evil, and you just pick a side. That's it. It can't get it. You just tell the truth. You live the truth. You follow good, and you can't go wrong, and you can use any gift you want, because, that's all part of God and you.
I need to ghostwrite a book for Susie Q. I need to ghostwrite a book for you with all of your Tom Sawyer sayings, because you say things in just a way that the common individual can understand, plain and simple, phrases that people can understand. We need to write a book of Susie Q's words of wisdom.
But do you hear what she's saying? She's saying what you've been taught. And part of the thing, now I'm going to go out here on a limb because I like to, I don't know, I always trigger people. So the thing is, she's right. Okay. And the issue is they've been taught, but they never bothered to look it up because most Christians are lazy. They're dependent on the pastor to tell them what's written. And then when they hear somebody like this group come on and we're talking about something, me and Susie can go on for hours. I'm going to tell you.
Right.
And so then when something comes up, they're like, oh no, and then you, Catherine, look what you do. In the Christian community, you would be burned at the stake. Oh. We've interviewed Christian witches, okay? So they've brought a lot of revelations. And it come to find out, like, the lady was just Wiccan. Her whole thing is, you know why I say Christian witch is because the truth that's coming out, that's getting exposed, we would be burned at the stake. This conversation right here does not fit in the Christian mantra.
Oh man, you hit some work. Can I add to this? Because I love all of you so much. So number one, if we read the Bible, it tells us that the pastors are going to lead us astray. If we actually read the Bible, it tells us exactly what you said, Susie, which is it's within, and we can go straight within. And that's what I think the Holy Spirit is. And what you said, Karen, about witches burned at the stake, from my research, what I found is the people that were the witches burned at the stake in the early church days were actually early Christians who had this same belief that we're talking about. And they were nobles, and the church was just trying to steal their land because the church was trying to control the state. And so they were healers, they were natural healers, they were intuitives, but they were followers of Yeshua. So you guys are just hitting on some, like, thank you. Just thank you.
Oh yeah, I can get on a rant about that.
Catherine,
too.
did you have something to say? Catherine, do you
Huh?
have something to say?
No,
Catherine?
I'm just agreeing with the girls. Like I'm going, yes, me too, yes. I'll be stoned to death. The things I do.
Not here. I think we're safe here. Like,
So, Susie, now with that predication, you started researching. I love this woman. Okay, she's my best friend, and I call her my sister. And she's guided by God. He tells her to do something, just like myself. When he tells me to do something, I do it. And so she started investigating this one murder, which has led to some just she already knew the conclusions, but it's led to actual people that know this individual that was disappeared. And then she starts talking because they had asked her initially. They said, "Hey, have you heard about this cult?" So she starts researching this cult, which we'll do some more on that. The cult, which is this lady in what's her name, McGillis.
Yeah, we did. We talked about the Linda McGillis,
Yes. So
the
we'll be
walk-in
doing.
call.
Yeah, we'll do some further research on that when we get it. But then she finds this other cult. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
The one in Gilmore.
Okay, so now we're going to go down that ugly hole of ugliness in the world that we live in. And a lot of people, they don't know how dark it gets or how bad it gets. They have an idea, but it gets pretty dark. I mean, people can be pretty dark. And so this particular case that I was looking at was about a girl that disappeared. Well, I was looking into a lot of people who have disappeared, meaning what they're saying is that they've never found their bodies. So, sometimes they know what happened to them, but they never were able to retrieve a body. So they're still missing, basically. So, but so I was looking into some missing cases, and this one particular one was about 30 years ago, and it was in a town called Gilmer, Texas. And it was a girl named Kelly who was 17 years old, and she worked at a Blockbuster Video in a little nice little community town and everything, real good community. And her and her mom lived there. Her dad lived in Louisiana. And this girl was friends with family called the Kerrs, Kerr, Kerrs.
Like Deborah Kerr.
And this particular family, yeah, like a cur dog, there's but I think they spell that with a C-U-R. This particular family was very dark, and it was like the mother or the grandmother named Wanda or Genevieve, and her husband, the old man, I can't think of his name, Mr. Kerr, and then they had a Wendell Kerr, and they had a Danny Kerr, and then they had wives, and one was a Connie Martin, and so you have kids and their wives and all stuff. Well, there was a piece of land there in Gilmer that has like a Stonehenge, literally a field with this big Stonehenge rocks, and it's a place where the Satanics would go and have their little meetings and stuff. Well, this particular family was all their kids and stuff, sexually abusing them, and took the kids away. Well, then I really want Penny to read this article so it gives you the details. Basically, this case is not a missing person. This is a case that was swept under the rug because at the time, this was during the time when Bush was president.
Are you there? Did she just freeze?
I think so.
I think
Susie?
so.
Did you just freeze? Okay. I'm going to read the case, and we'll have her sign back in again. So I'm going to just remove her and have her sign back in again. Okay, so this is the case. Okay, we found out that Gilmer the town name, it actually means like devil something. They call this town devil something. I'm just waiting for her to come back in. I was here yet. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the strange case of Gilmer, Texas cannibal cult. Okay. This is real. And she's coming back in, so I don't see her, but I'm going to just bring her back in. Susie, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
back in. That was weird.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to start reading the case. The strange case of Gilmer. What did they call the Gilmer? Devil's what?
It's, I can't, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Okay. They called this town Devil something. So you might want to go ahead and sign in and sign out again, just to see if you can hear me better. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, she's breaking up. Okay. You're breaking up here and there. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to read this. The strange case of the Gilmer, Texas cannibal cult. In 1992, 15 children in Gilmer, Texas were removed from their extended families of origin and placed in protective therapeutic foster care after investigations by Child Protective Services revealed their sadistic sexual abuse, and victimization by parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and others. A special prosecutor was appointed to bring the alleged perpetrators to justice. Scott Lyford, a Galveston attorney, and his investigative team were able to accumulate sufficient evidence to gain indictments and convictions against the 8 defendants. As the children became increasingly secure in their foster care environment and in their therapeutic relationship with a mental health professional, they began to reveal details of their victimization, which included elements of ritual abuse such as being forced to ingest blood, urine, and feces, deviant sex practices, and other behaviors indicative of ritual activities. One of the abused children disclosed special knowledge regarding the disappearance of an area teenager, Kelly Wilson. This child implicated his sexual abuse perpetrators and an area police officer in the abduction, rape, torture, and murder of Ms. Wilson, a 17-year-old Gilmer resident who disappeared on January 5th, 1992. When confronted with the child's testimony, 2 of the adults confessed to the offenses, and one of the adults directed the investigative team to a property owned by the paternal grandparents of the children, where the adult alleged some ritual activities had taken place, including the murder of Kelly Wilson. 2 adults subsequently recanted their confessions and later confessed again. One of the adults plea bargained to a lesser offense for which she'd been convicted but not sentenced. Both adults submitted to polygraph evaluations whose results supported their confessions. After the disclosures of ritual abuse, the allegations regarding the murder of Kelly Wilson and the implications by some of the victims and some of the perpetrators that others, including a police officer, were involved in the crimes, the Texas Attorney General's office released the special prosecutor and his investigative team and took over the case. Assistant Attorney General Shane Phelps directed the grand jury to not bill the defendants. However, the grand jury did not follow this direction and instead dismissed the indictment without prejudice, allowing the state to reconsider the case at a future date. The special prosecutor, his investigative team, and the CPS caseworkers who had been advocating for the 15 children alleged that the Attorney General's office has lost evidence, misinterpreted their investigation, not proceeded with its own investigation, and interfered with the children's psychotherapy, and have removed the children from their foster care without concern for the well-being of the children. These individuals further allege that the state of Texas, via the Attorney General's office, has re-traumatized the children by forcibly removing them from their foster mother and by engaging in punitive and damaging strategies in order to command the children's cooperation. The state attorney general has been unresponsive to residents of Gilmer and others who have attempted to lobby for the welfare of these child victims, and requested a complete and thorough public disclosure regarding the circumstances of the children's victimization. Currently, the special prosecutor, his investigative team, and the CPS caseworkers are being sued by some of the alleged child abuse perpetrators for malicious prosecution and other alleged improprieties. The state of Texas has denied these individuals the option of state-funded independent legal counsel, despite evidence of a conflict of interest between the Attorney General's office and these individuals. The children's foster mother's ability to visit with and nurture these children has reportedly been made contingent upon her assistance in soliciting the children's cooperation with their current psychotherapeutic team. There's been an implication that her failure to assist may result in the children's return to their abusive families of origin. The psychiatrist currently heading the children's treatment team, Bruce Perry, MD, and Assistant Attorney General Beth Page have admitted to serious errors in judgment on their part, which have resulted in the re-traumatization of these severely abused children. November 16, 1994, the Gilmore Police Department announced that 5 or 6 boxes of evidence gathered in the Kelly Wilson case had been taken from the property room of the Gilmore Police Department by persons unknown. These boxes of evidence were copies of evidence which, while in the custody of the Attorney General's office, were allegedly lost. The Justice for Kelly Wilson Committee intends to converge on Austin at noon Monday, October 24, 1994, for the purpose of informing the citizens of Texas of the details of this case, to raise questions for the government of Texas regarding the manner in which this case has been handled, concerns regarding a conflict of interest between the state of Texas and the children's advocates, including other concerns. 1. Why did the Attorney General's office discharge the special prosecutor in the midst of his preparations to go before the grand jury? 2. Why was the foreman of the grand jury, the editor of the local newspaper, permitted to retain her position on the grand jury while she continued to produce articles in the newspaper which reflected her disbelief in the validity of the reports of the ritualized abuse? 3. Why were the children removed against their will from the nurturing and supportive environment of their foster home to a treatment center in Waco? And why was this done without providing the foster mother or the children time to prepare for the event? Number 4, why has the foster mother been permitted only one visit with the children since their removal from the home, despite the fact that she has petitioned to adopt these children and provide them with a permanent home? Number 5, why were the children removed against their will from their former therapist while they were making good progress after having spent much time and energy in developing excellent rapport? Number 6, what happened to the evidence collected by the special prosecutor's investigative team? Number 7, why did the Assistant Attorney General, Shane Phillips, misrepresent a statement he read after the grand jury failed to bill the defendants as the product of the grand jury? Number 8, why is the testimony of one of the child victims and 2 of his confessed perpetrators been discounted by the Attorney General's office? Number 9, why has the media attention to this case been skewed in favor of the Attorney General's stance? Number 10, why is the state of Texas denying the children's advocates independent counsel to address litigation brought against them by convicted child abusers? You want to weigh in on this before we go into the synopsis of the case? Anyone?
Anybody got anything they want to say?
It's very suspicious that they just swooped in and took the kids from a loving environment and then allowed someone to dismiss and invalidate their trauma. Is that, I'm hearing that correctly? Or
Yes, you are.
okay.
I guess I have having just gotten off an interview on my show, Sacred Valley, interviewing the Bowles family, who are really trying to bring the CPS to justice because they kidnapped their children 2 times over 6 years. I'm always a little bit skeptical. I'm just curious what the charges were against the families, and this case is very confusing. I now see, Susie, why you spoke so much about God before we got into this.
Yes. This family, the family that they were taken from, they're cannibals. The story culmination is that this individual who was kidnapped and tortured was eaten.
But the foster mother was trying to help, though, right? So they were put with the foster mom,
Yeah.
and then after they got away from the cannibals, right? And then the state came in and took them away from the foster mom.
Susie?
Is that
Mhm.
right? Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. So, these children, well, once the case, and one of the problems is the chief of police there, he was involved in it also. So he was helping, and all the evidence, but I think 6 boxes that were in the police department all just miraculously disappeared, So, I mean, evidence doesn't get up and walk away. Okay.
No.
This was a
It's not.
complete cover up for this satanic group of people, because they said, according to some of the citizens that live there, they actually had at their property, they had a clearing And they would, like, when they went into the shed, they found cat o' nine tails, whips, you know, blood everywhere. And they did find some stuff there. Now they would torture, like with Kelly. They kept her locked up in a shed for 10 days, and then they would take her out and tie her up. And there would be people in the community that were satanic people that would come and sit around, and they called them the Watchers. They would watch them doing sexual acts against this girl for 10 days. They tortured her and abused her, and people watched it. It was a ritual. It went on for 10 days. And so we talk about the Echinodome and how these people torture the children and then they drink the blood. This is what was going on with Kelly. She's 17 years old, a beautiful girl.
Beautiful.
And she apparently was a birthday present to this one of the Kerrs. So they were enjoying the fact that they were torturing this poor girl and terrorizing this girl. And at the end of the whole episode, they kill her and then they eat her and drink her blood for the Echinodome. I mean,
Here's
this is
the other thing.
awful. And
It's 1989. Loretta Gilmer. That's the town name. Loretta Gilmer made a
Wow.
report to the police that her husband Wendell was sexually molesting their two daughters, age 5 and 6. Their 4 children were removed by foster care to Child Protective Services. Wendell and Loretta were both charged with child sexual abuse. Wendell was convicted and placed on probation. Wendell moved in with the Bibby family. He later married Juan Hicks. In 1992, had 5 children from a previous marriage because he wants to abuse them. Upon learning that Wendell, on probation for child sex abuse, had moved into Wanda's home where her 5 young children resided, CPS intervened again and removed the children from the home. Wanda subsequently relinquished her parental rights to the children. Wendell's children also made allegations they've been abused by their grandparents, Geneva Skipper Kerr and Eugene Kerr, and their uncle Danny Kerr. So this is all in the family, and his common law wife, Connie Martin. The children reported that Danny and Connie's 5 children were also being abused. Those children were also removed to foster care. Now, remember, this is in 1989, okay? And these children accused 2 other people, Tammy Jo Smith and her live-in boyfriend, Don Holman, of abusing them, and Tammy Jo's son, Raymond. Raymond and his half-brother, Tammy Jo, and Don's son were placed in foster care. In January 5th, 1992, Kelly Wilson is a 17-year-old girl. She disappears after leaving work sometime at 8 o'clock p.m. She was employed at a video rental store in Gilmer across from the courthouse. When she left work that night, she discovered that her car had a slashed tire. Her purse was found in her unlocked car. There were no ransom demands, no physical evidence of abduction, no sign of foul play except for the deliberately slashed tire. And Kelly's body was never found. Sergeant James York Brown was assigned to the investigation of Kelly Wilson's disappearance. There were no arrests made in relation to Kelly's disappearance except for Michael Bibby, a 17-year-old man, was eventually arrested and convicted of having slashed her tire. James Brown was the only police officer to talk with Michael Bibby. Michael served some time for the misdemeanor charge, but denied any knowledge of Kelly Wilson's whereabouts. Wendell Carrad lived with the Bibby family between his divorce from Loretta and his marriage to Wanda. A 29-year-old man, Brent Lee Ward, was indicted for lying to the grand jury in regards to the questions to him relative to his knowledge of Kelly Wilson. However, a judge overturned the indictment, and then the grand jury later re-indicted him. Sergeant Brown was acquainted with Don Hulliman, as he was Mr. Hulliman's training officer when Mr. Hulliman served as a reserve police officer and active duty police officer on the Gilmer Police Force. Sergeant Brown was also acquainted with Wendell Kerr, as the 2 were co-workers for a period of time when Sergeant Brown left law enforcement briefly and worked as a truck driver. We're also talking about complicity within the PD, and this is in the 90s. Since in foster care in July of 1992, Raymond disclosed knowledge of Kelly Wilson. Raymond alleged that Kelly had been kidnapped by a cult of which his parents, Geneva and Eugene Kerr, Wendell and Wanda Hicks Kerr, Danny Kerr, and Connie Martin were members. According to Raymond, Kelly was abducted, brutalized over a period of about 10 days, sacrificially murdered, and eaten by the assembled group. According to Raymond, Sergeant James Brown of the Gilmore Police Department was a participant in this act. I'm going to stop here because now we're going to have some discussion because we're going to be rounding out this show shortly. Thoughts on what you guys have just heard?
So the boy serves time for slashing a tire, but the pedophile gets probation. That's the one thing that's stuck
Correct,
out for
because
me.
they're all working together. So the boy's like, all right, I'm not going to say anything about this cult and everything that's going on. just give me some time for slashing the tire, right?
Wow.
Right.
But who told him to slash the tire? Was he told because he's a participant in the cult, and the cult's like, that's all right, you'll just go down for slashing a tire, don't worry about it. We are the town police and CPS or whatever. Okay, we are these factions that run the town, and we're going to take care of you because you're one of our cult members. Who told him to slash the tire so they could abduct this girl?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was part of the group. Uh-huh.
What
There-
I'm hearing is legal. It's all set up so that the legality is that he serves time and the other people don't. Like
Right.
that's the system of authority, sadly, that's in at least relation to these types of crimes, and that's what's so suspicious in and of itself.
But this is not just limited to that one little town and that one little family. We have a lot of people that are being murdered, a lot of people and children that are disappearing. And the other day I had a dream, and in the dream, I'm there's these people that are kidnapping young people, and then they're taking them on a plane so that they can take them somewhere to do organ removal. So we have a sickness in the world, and it's not limited to one little town, one little. My point is, we have a huge problem and a huge world, and people need to wake up and be more aware of what is really going on, behind closed doors, and that these people, it's not just one random person here or one random here, and there's groups of people. There's sick people, there's dark people, there's evil people, and and in this dream, I'm pursuing these people down this hallway that have taken the children, and I begin to start praying really loud, just praying so loud against them. I'm like pursuing them, and then I see some other person come out, and as I begin to pray, other people start joining in and praying against this people. So that's what we who believe in God, who we believe in, the real justice, which, just us is just them. And they're not, a lot of those satanic people are in authority. They're in the schools, they're in the churches. How many stories have we heard about mega preachers that are homosexual and molesting their, kids? You heard it in the Catholic Church. You heard it in the Protestant churches. You hear it in the schools. You hear it in places of authority. These people get into all these places so that they can have more authority and control over people. We have, and it's not going to be unless we bring God into this. That's the bottom line. We need help. We're not doing a very good job of cleaning up the mess on our own. The courts aren't helping us with this case. Look at this case. Nothing.
No, it's in
There's
the
no
90s. Susie, you had mentioned Corina Pataki, and I told you that you and Karen need to talk with one another so that you can talk with Corina. But Corina had mentioned something about everyone praying. Would you like to reiterate that, Susie?
Yeah. I did. I watched her, and I love that girl. Wow. She's right. I believe that too. I believe that when you pray, people talk about you reap what you sow, and then the New Age people would say karma, right? Which is the same thing. It's just like I said, it's all a confusing verbiage, but it's the same thing. And how the universe would bring karma. Well, and she was saying, pray, because see, the universe, everything, it's all connected. Animals, us, the universe, God, everything. So when you pray, you're asking the world and the universe to help you, and we need everything on our side to help fight this evil. So I totally agree with what she's saying. You know, we all need to be praying a little bit more, a little bit against this evil, a little bit more asking for help, whatever help comes. You know, does a rock come and hit some evil MF in the head before he rapes or steals some kid? Well, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. Let the universe help us. We need help. We are in a battle. What about the mothers that have to grieve over their child that just got taken somewhere and they never know what happened to their child, and they have to live with those questions? And what about the parent that's son or daughter is murdered or disappeared and they never know if they're alive or dead, and every day they got to live with those questions? There's never closure for these people. What about those people? And a lot of those people love God, but they don't know what happened to their loved ones. You know what I mean? We really all have to pull together for each other, and we have to stop evil coming. And I, you can't just go to church and pretend everything is hunky dory, and go back to your job, that's not going to get done. It's just not. So,
Do you ladies ever wonder if we have, we all hear the number, I don't know what the number is. There's a lot of people who go missing every year, and most of them are children. Don't you think that we would be getting like Amber Alerts on our phone constantly? So why
Yes,
are
we
these
should.
Amber Alerts being?
Because they're being disappeared. Susie's from Ohio, and most recently there were something like 30 children that disappeared within a matter of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, of course, what I start doing, because who would have thought, I'm a singer, right, Karen? Who would have thought
You
that
are.
we'd be looking up the satanic, well, so are you. So is Heather. Who would have thought we'd be looking up the satanic holidays to try and find out why children were kidnapped? So they hold the children also in certain periods. And if you don't know the satanic holidays, look it up. There's an actual calendar. Who would have thought, right? I mean, they're organized. It's like organized crime. Organized crime is organized, ladies. So, that's why they have the name. It's just criminals that decided to get together and organize. Like our CIA decided to, the criminal faction of the CIA decided to organize and call themselves Centralized Intelligence Agency, which is kind of an oxymoron. But when we're talking about the fact that we all here have something to bring to the table. All right. We all have an individual protocol that God has spoken to us and said, these are the things that you have to do. So Susie has, and not only that, we have many missions. Okay. But one of Susie's has been, the serial killer thing. And she was also, she lived right down the street from, who's the prolific serial killer that ate people, the cannibal?
Dahmer? Yeah, I lived down the road from Dahmer.
So Dahmer lived down the street. So she was in Ohio, and recently in Ohio, when these children disappeared, I start looking at, what's the next satanic holiday? And there is a satanic holiday coming up. All right. And sometimes it's 3 days before, sometimes it's 3 days after, but sometimes it's right within that scope in which they're disappearing the children and they're sacrificing them and they're torturing them. And, no, you don't get Amber Alerts on all the kids that are missing, but 30 kids, seriously.
And I'm thinking Amber Alerts are more like having to do with the child abduction by the CPS, and then you'll get an Amber Alert when really it's a parent trying to protect their kid.
Exactly.
When they're really going missing and they're really getting murdered by serial killers, yeah, you're right, Tara. We don't hear anything about it.
No. And we have children that are being taken by corrupt factions within the CPS, and the parents are just beside themselves because their children are being torn away from them with, excuse the language, but some bullshit charges because they want to put them in the system, they want to drug them, they want to keep them within the system, and then they're going to punish and admonish the parents, which are stigmatized for the rest of their days. We are running short on time. It is 12:51 according to my clock here. Heather Day, where can people find you?
HeatherDayMusic.com, and you can get a signed copy of my book there, or you can email me at HeatherDayMusic@gmail.com.
And your book is AI 2030.
Yes.
For
Well,
that,
we
I
talk
have
about
some.
missing children and missing, especially in the Los Angeles area in my book, because, and where some of that goes, like you're talking about cannibalism. So, yeah.
Yes. And Los Angeles is actually Lost Angels. And my middle initials are LA. So LA Shepherd. Karen Britt, where can people find you?
Yep. TheElasticArmyBand.com, East Coast Hub on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Awake Nation.
You have a bunch of shows you do too. Can you tell us the shows and where to find them?
Yeah, we do Kingdom Talks Media on Facebook and YouTube and all the other platforms like Twitch and Twitter. We're also with Karina Pataki with the Quest for Truth.
I
Can
love
you
her.
handle the truth?
End of the truth.
She has the fire of the Holy Spirit.
She has the fire.
Every time she talks, I'm getting chills. I'm like, yes,
Everyone
fire
loves her.
everyone up.
Yeah,
We're
she's
gonna all
fixing
pray.
as y'all are
You
talking.
should talk to her. Tara Crete, you are just a fabulous person all over the place. You have your own show, and you bring in some just incredible individuals that are truth tellers and whistleblowers on many different topics. Where can people find Sacred Valley Podcast?
I gave up on YouTube because just getting deleted all the time. It's for the birds, and it's so un-American. So I'm on Rumble, and I post all the time on Twitter. And Heather Day is going to be on my show next week, so I'm excited to hear about her story.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, she's got quite the story, and she's a brainiac like everyone on this program. Catherine Sorelos.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Oracle Whispers. Where can people find you?
On all the social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and as Catherine Sorelos or Oracle Whispers.
And Susie Q. If people want to find you, where can they find you?
They can call you or they can look on Facebook.
Okay. And so if you want to get in touch with Susie Q, because apparently when I first started this as Agent X11, because I am the real 11 depicted in Netflix Stranger Things, I said, I'm not that kind of agent. Apparently I am that kind of agent now because I'm booking people on the Awake Nation. So if you want to book Susie on any of your shows, I am officially, as my best friend, I'm offering my booking services for Susie Q. So you can find me here on Awake Nation. You can find me on my phone. Please text my phone, say who you are. I won't answer unless you're in my contacts. My phone number is 619-779-9771. You can also email me at penny@darkoutpost.com, or you can email david@darkoutpost.com. And we're here on the Awake Nation. That's a notion I had in my mind. We're here on the Awake Nation Monday through Saturday, believe it or not. So that's a pretty, wide schedule. And it takes a lot of people to help us on here. We're using the 5th hour, which is our last hour, because we're from 8 a.m. in the morning, which we do 1 hour of news from 8 to 9, and that's Central Time. So that'd be 9 to 10 Eastern Time. So we're on air Monday through Saturday, 8 to 1 Central, 9 to 2 Eastern. That's a good portion of the day. And we encourage you. We know that you're not going to be able to watch all 5 hours, except for some stalkers that decide they're going to watch all 5 hours. And if you can't watch it, then please, take a look at whatever sections it is that you want. We have some favorite people that are coming up. We got the trauma triage team, which is now on Friday at 9:00 with Heather Day. We're implementing some, new segments in which we're bringing in different people. We're going to try to do the trauma triage team for a little bit, on Fridays, maybe varying hours. We're going to try to work that, maybe get different people that want to come on that trauma triage team. Tara, you're always welcome to do that as well. And then, I encourage all of you to, if you have guests that you want us to have on, or like Tara has a lot of people she interviews. So, we can probably bring some of those people on. She'll take the lead on those because she's already known those people. We're also looking for investigative journalists and reporters on the ground. And I'll be doing a little clip on that this weekend. So if you think that you could be an investigative journalist or reporter for the Awake Nation, again, please contact me, text my phone, and let me know. And my phone number is 619-779-9771. And that's kind of about do it for. Does anyone have a brief, goodbye? Because we got like 1 minute.
I just want to say I love you guys. And thank you.
I love all y'all. You're awesome. Yeah. And if anyone has any cool ideas for therapeutic for post-trauma, email me about that. And maybe we can have them on, as a guest on the trauma triage, because
it is what it is.
Yeah, I did some. My whole entire life I've been healing, and I'm not doing it anymore. I'm like, okay, I'm as good as I'm probably going to get.
Right.
But I went to Peru and did some plant medicine. That was a totally different way.
Oh my gosh, Tara.
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
so yeah,
We guys definitely have to talk
Yep.
off air as well. And I want to thank each and every one of you ladies for participating on the Awake Nation. Your information is extremely important. Again, catch us Monday through Saturday. I keep forgetting the Saturday. 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central and 9 to 2 Eastern Time. And on behalf of the Awake Nation, myself, Penny L.A. Shepherd, and David Zublik, we want to see you. Goodbye.
Right.
Goodbye for today from the Awake Nation with co-host David Zublik and Penny L.A. Shepherd. We invite you to join us live on Rumble Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. Join us for the Awake Nation News, 1 hour all news, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern.
Followed by 4 hours of one-on-one interviews with influencers who defy the mainstream narrative.
The Awake Nation, the truth with a shot of espresso.
On behalf of the Awake Nation, with co-host David Zublik and Penny L.A. Shepherd,
we thank you for watching the Awake Nation and ask you to join us again Monday through Saturday.